Warning: sensitive content.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programas offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Unsere Sendungen bieten viele Sprachen. Gehen Sie auf suprememastertv.com/schedule.
And so that's what I wanted to do, was to sort of draw that distinction, to say, look, animal rights means abolition. Animal welfare means regulation.
Supreme Master Ching Hai gratefully present Professor Gary Francione the Shining World Hero Award with all love, best wishes, and high praises for your dedication to creating a more just and ethical world. May you and your loved ones enjoy continued blessings and constant protection by heaven. Continue watching to find out more.
Vegan, you will feel on top of the world.
If you ever visit Portugal, you will be greeted with "Tudo bem?", which means "How are you?" in Portuguese. My name is Monica. The charming Portuguese people wish your lives to be filled with the loving support of many friends and animal people companions. Welcome to the first episode of today's show, Professor Gary Francione, Vegan, on Justice for Animal People. On today's show, we meet Gary Francione, a distinguished law professor and prominent philosopher on the rights and ethics of animal people. Professor Francione teaches at Rutgers University Law School in New Jersey, USA, and has been educating society on the theory of animal people rights and the law for over 25 years. Besides presenting lectures throughout North America and Europe, he has written numerous books and articles that shed light on the injustices faced by the people of the animal kingdom. Some of his works include Rain Without Thunder, The Ideology of the Animal Rights Movement, Animals, Property and the Law, Animals as Persons, Essays on the Abolition of Animal Exploitation, Animal Rights, The Abolitionist Approach, Why Veganism Matters, The Moral Value of Animals, plus more. Professor Francione was the first scholar to teach animal rights theory in an American law school. With his partner and colleague, Professor Anna E. Charlton, he established the Rutgers Animal Rights Law Clinic from 1990 to 2000, where students had the opportunity to participate in cases involving animal people issues and receive academic credit for their assignments.
We did it because there was a need for it. No lawyers were at that time really thinking about this in any serious way. And so we wanted to do something in that regard. And we did a lot. We did a number of interesting, we represented, for example, students who did not want to dissect or vivisect in their class, as part of their classroom, activities. We represented prisoners who wanted vegan food and could not get vegan food. We worked with students in veterinary schools who didn't want to do dog lab.
Taking part in a variety of cases, Professors Francione and Charlton have represented animal people advocates and organizations free of charge. For instance, they once saved the life of an innocent dog person who was thought to have attacked a child.
There was a dog that was going to be killed in New Jersey because the dog was sleeping and a child ran in the room and jumped on the dog, and the dog snapped at the child. And so the dog was going to be killed as an aggressive dog. And it was just completely not justified. It was unfair. And the parents of the child who jumped on the dog, they didn't want the dog to be killed because they thought that the child jumped on the dog while the dog was sleeping and scared the dog. But the state of New Jersey was going to kill the dog. And so we intervened and we got the governor to pardon the dog.
Having been vegan for almost 40 years, Professor Francione's dedication to protecting animal people has been driven by the belief that it is wrong to inflict harm and suffering onto others, especially just for the taste.
I believe very strongly in the principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence, very strongly. And it just seems to me self-evidently wrong to kill or to impose suffering, particularly when there's absolutely no need. And so, I became a vegan because it was clear to me that I shouldn't be eating animal products, and that I didn't need to eat them to be healthy. So there was no compulsion, no necessity, and that I was eating animal products because I like the taste. And how can that be justified if you believe in nonviolence, and if you think it's wrong to inflict violence, unless you've got a very good reason? Your palate pleasure can't be a very good reason.
Furthermore, empirical evidence has increasingly shown that the animal people industry has devastating consequences on the environment and human beings. Not only does meat eating contribute to global warming, but it also has damaging repercussions on our physical and spiritual health.
We're destroying the environment. Animal agriculture is a disaster for the environment, an absolute disaster for the environment. Animal agriculture is a disaster for our health. I mean, we have a pandemic now. The reality is most pandemics are zoonotic. They come from animals, and they come from animals in situations where we're exploiting them. We're hurting our spiritual health by tolerating and participating in this violence. Think about this. Every year on this planet, we kill at least 80 billion land animals. We don't even know how many sea animals, but the lowest estimate I've ever seen is 1 trillion. So every year, for food alone, we're killing more animals than the number of human beings who have lived on this planet. I mean, that is just a mind-boggling number. And you cannot tell me that that level of violence is not affecting us in a profound way. It makes us insensitive to the violence around us.
Vegan leader, legend now and in the future.
Attentive viewers, we will take a brief moment to pray that humanity wakes up and stops killing animal people for food before it's too late. We'll be right back after this short message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back, bright-minded viewers. Professor Francione is well known for his abolitionist position on animal people rights and criticism of animal people welfare law. He believes that the animal people rights movement should involve abolishing all forms of exploitation, rather than trying to regulate how people of the animal kingdom are treated.
So that's what I wanted to do, was to sort of draw that distinction, to say, look, animal rights means abolition. Animal welfare means regulation. And what was happening in the late 80s, and early 1990s was that the animal movement was saying, well, we believe in animal rights, but we think the way to get to animal rights or to abolition is to regulate things better. And I was arguing, no, you're not going to get rid of it by making it supposedly more humane. If anything, that's going to make people feel more comfortable about continuing to exploit animals. So it was about making us feel better about continuing to exploit animals, and not about recognizing any moral value of the animals themselves.
Indeed, there are many reports about hypocritical practice of so-called humane treatment in animal people raising sites. People give it a modern name, humane washing. As animal people factories are often well hidden from the public, Many are unaware of the cruel practices involved in the preparation of their meat. Professor Francione's abolitionist approach was created with the realization that animal people could never be granted complete protection as long as society accepts the existing conditions. During our interview, he reveals the gruesome truth behind how they are treated in factories.
When we say that we should treat them humanely, what we really mean is that we should not impose more suffering than is necessary given the use, which itself may not be necessary, but we should impose that amount of suffering that allows us to efficiently exploit the animal. That's a very, very low level of protection. I mean, for example, in the United States, we require that animals be rendered unconscious before they're shackled, hoisted, and cut. Why do we do that? We do that because if an animal is conscious when the animal is shackled and hoisted up to the sea, up off the ground, the animal's pelvis will break and will hit workers and cause injuries to the workers and incur damage to the carcass. That is economically inefficient. It's much more efficient to stun the animal and keep the animal reasonably quiet while, unfortunately, they often don't do it to the point where the animal's unconscious. They just do it to the point where the animal can't move. But if the animal is unable to move, at least the animal would not incur carcass damage, which reduces the economic value of the animal, or cause worker injuries, which involves another economic problem. So animal welfare laws are really not about morality. They're about economics.
To achieve abolition, Professor Francione maintains that the most important thing that anyone can do is to go vegan. His words may awaken and inspire vegetarians to go vegan.
I talk a lot about diet, although veganism is not just about diet. It's about clothes you wear, about what products you use and things like that. But I talk a lot about dietary veganism because in my experience, Van, until people stop eating them, nothing changes. Once they stop eating them and they see that it's wrong to eat them, everything changes. Veganism is applying the abolitionist perspective to one's individual life. That's what veganism, in my judgment, is. When you're eating an animal product, you're not only consuming the violence that animal experienced, you're participating directly in that, but you're also participating in injustice on multiple levels, injustice towards the animals, but injustice towards other humans, because the reality is it takes many pounds of plant protein to produce 1 pound of flesh. In the United States alone, if you take all the crops that we feed to animals that we eat, you could feed about 800 million people. Think about that. If we were vegan, there would be no starvation.
Veganism is the simple and only solution to end all the major challenges that humans are facing. We applaud Professor Francione for his endeavors to abolish animal people exploitation and propagate the urgency of adopting a vegan lifestyle. Supreme Master Ching Hai gratefully present Professor Gary Francione the Shining World Hero Award with all love, best wishes, and high praises for your dedication to creating a more just and ethical world. May you and your loved ones enjoy continued blessings and constant protection by heaven. Supreme Master Ching Hai is deeply grateful to the most merciful, beloved God for all the financial help, comfort, and support to the afflicted and needy in or any good cause over the years, as a humble vessel for His compassion and love toward His precious children. To learn more about Professor Gary Francione, vegan, please visit abolitionistapproach.com and howdoigovegan.com.
To save animals from slaughter or any mortal danger with entirely pure motivation and conduct is without doubt a practice to be taken up by all followers of the Buddha Shakyamuni, Chacho Sanjay Dorje Rinpoche, vegetarian.
Caring viewers, thank you for being here with us today. Please join us again on Thursday, June 16th for the second episode of Professor Gary Francione, Vegan, on Justice for Animal People. Coming up next is There are no excuses for invading a country. Part 4 of 8 on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May you make continuous progress in your goals of spiritual cultivation.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VE